And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for October 2nd. Hurricane Marie is intensifying significantly today. We're now rating it a Category 3 storm. National Hurricane Center will probably follow suit a little bit later. Still expected to peak as a Category 4 in the Eastern Pacific. Nothing else is active right now, nothing that's a nameable cyclone at least. In the Atlantic though, day 123 of hurricane season, that's 70% chance for the Yucatan region, and 3 other areas of interest. One of them is ex-Paulette, would you believe, which has a marginal chance, 10%, of redeveloping near Bermuda. Unclear whether the National Hurricane Center will keep the name or not. Day 140 in the Eastern Pacific, Marie quite clear there, Category 3, and 3 other areas of interest that have all got low chances at the moment just because of the lack of certainty over the next 5 days. Beyond that, it looks like we will get something. In the Western Pacific, 50% chance still for an area of interest that will be tracking near the Japanese outer islands, and a 10% chance for a system that will be entering the Philippine Sea early next week. And in the southwest Indian Ocean, we've still got a 10% tag on an area of interest that is now visible in the southern Indian Ocean. It might get a little bit of momentum in the next few days as it tracks westwards. Looking at the satellite then, the Atlantic looks like this. You can see on the left hand side the Caribbean, that disturbance looking pretty good actually. On the right hand side of it, that other area of interest, which is not looking too bad either. In the main development region off to the east, you've got that area of interest too, and what's left of Paulette, which you saw briefly there, not looking very good by the way, but its energy could contribute to another cyclone later on down the line. Gulf of Mexico looking fairly quiet for the moment at least. Eastern Pacific, obviously you've got Marie there, the eye becoming very visible there, even on the true color imagery from quite a distance out. And in the rest of the Eastern Pacific, just disorganized really, but a few puffs of convection, nothing significant right now off the coast of Mexico. The Western Pacific, you can see again there's a very broad mess of activity, but you do get the feeling that this will probably become another maybe a weak tropical cyclone. Unclear exactly how strong this next one might get that we've got a 50% chance on, if it does develop at all. I think things will become a lot clearer by the weekend. And in the South Pacific, things looking fairly quiet here. You can see a lot of thunderstorms though blowing up over the Solomon Islands and northern Papua New Guinea. A little burst just north of Fiji. And the Indian Ocean looking fairly quiet, the north at least, and you look towards the south there, you might just be able to see that area of interest, some convection blowing up now that's not fully monsoonal, so that's looking somewhat more interesting than yesterday. Sea surface temperatures off the eastern Pacific coast, still off the Mexican coast I should say, in the eastern Pacific still 30 degrees or so. Where Marie is right now, I would say it's around 28 degrees Celsius, and it will drop off in a day or two, so if Marie's going to intensify further, it's got to do it now. The Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, as you can see, still very warm, 30 degrees plus. The Gulf Stream, 28 degrees up to the outer banks of North Carolina and out to sea, warming up again in the main development region in the Atlantic, in the subtropics I should say, after those recent hurricanes. The Indian Ocean, 30 degrees off the coast of eastern India and Bangladesh, watching out for potential development there later on in the month I would think. And the Western Pacific, again that 30 degree isotherm extending up towards the Ogasawara island chain of Japan. Even though the higher latitude sea surface temperatures are now receding, the lower latitudes I think might actually still be increasing in the Philippine Sea because there haven't really been any storms. Sea surface temperature anomalies, very high anomalies in the South China Sea and in the subtropical Western Pacific and Eastern, but generally near average conditions in the tropical East Pacific. The equatorial, of course, has the La Nina, quite a strong one, and in the Atlantic, above average temperatures in the Caribbean, but below average along the Gulf Coast, so hopefully the season's nearly done there. On October 2nd, 2015, we had Hurricane Joaquin, which was passing through the Bahamas. It was meandering around those islands, wasn't doing much in terms of movement, stalling away before turning off towards the northeast late in that day, Category 4. Mujigi was moving off the coast of the Philippines. Tropical storm Choi Wan had just formed in the far eastern part of the Western Pacific, if that makes sense, and two other areas were developing in the in the Central Pacific. One of them would become Oho. So in the Atlantic, it looks like we're getting closer to seeing the next Greek letter, the third one. It would be Gamma. In the Eastern Pacific, the next name on the list is Norbert. In the Central Pacific, we're still waiting for Hone. In the Western Pacific then, if any of these systems form, Chanhom is next up, followed by Linfa. In the North Indian Ocean, the next name is Gatti. In the Southern Hemisphere, and who knows, we might get an early start. One or two model hints that maybe we will see something by the end of the month at least. Imogen is next up for the Australian region. In the Southwest Indian Ocean, we'll start with Alicia, and in the South Pacific, it's Yolanda. That's all for now. We'll be back with another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night.